In today's video, we will go through the events of 2003's Korean psychological drama called A Tale of Two Sisters. Spoilers ahead, you have been warned. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, comment on what your favorite part was, and subscribe to our channel for more. The movie starts as a nurse brings out a patient and sits her in front of a doctor. The patient sits with her head down low. She is being treated for shock and psychosis in a mental institution. The doctor asks several questions, but she doesn't answer. He then shows her a picture of a family and inquires if she knows them, but the girl doesn't even look at the picture. Finally, he asks her about that day. We do not know yet what day he is talking about. Elsewhere, a car parks in a house in the countryside. The girl from earlier, Sumi, her little sister Suyeon, and their father Muayeon come out of the car. The sisters happily run out of the house to a nearby lake hand in hand. They stay there until their father calls them. When they enter the house, they are welcomed by a loud woman who keeps on talking about how happy she is to see them. However, the sisters do not respond. The woman is their stepmother, Heo Yunju. The girls are not fond of her. Yunju comments on how Suyeon has gotten all better now. Sumi is unpacking in her room when she hears a noise coming from the closet. But when she opens it, the noise stops. However, she is surprised to see that all the clothes hung inside are the same. That night, the whole family eats their dinner in silence. To break the awkwardness, Yunju informs her husband that she has invited her brother for dinner the following day. Muayeon leaves the dining table in silence. Yunju confronts Sumi for cleaning Muayeon's laundry and tells her that it is her job as his wife to do it. Sumi claps back, saying that Yunju shouldn't have gone through her closet and kept those clothes there. Just then, Muayeon comes there with 2 pills for Yunju. Yunju has some kind of disease and constantly requires medication. Sumi says that she doesn't want to have dinner with Yunju's brother and abruptly leaves the dinner table. Yunju tells Suyeon to go after her sister. Then, Yunju wishes goodnight to her pet bird and goes to sleep. Before bed, she picks out a nice nightgown for herself to look pretty for Muayeon. But when he comes into the room, he goes to sleep without acknowledging her effort. Sometime later, he comes down to the living room and sleeps on the couch. That night, Suyeon wakes up to a noise. She looks around and sees the doorknob moving. Scared, she turns around and pretends to sleep. Someone lifts her blanket. Just then, a loud bang startles her and she gets up. Scared, she runs to her sister's room. Sumi lovingly tells her that it is okay, but Suyeon is sure that someone came into her room. Sumi then goes downstairs to check and sees the TV flickering. Then she notices Muayeon sleeping in a corner. She adjusts his blanket and touches his face when suddenly Yunju appears behind her. She accuses Sumi of trying to wake him up and the two get into a little argument. Sumi then goes to the fridge to drink some water when she smells something weird. A bloody paper wraps something inside it. She slowly unfolds the paper to see the head of a bloody fish. Startled, she drops the fish and screams. Sumi then goes back to her room and cuddles with Suyeon. She tells her that something about Yunju and this house is strange. Then she assures a scared Suyeon she'll protect her. The girls go to sleep. The following day, a nightmare wakes Sumi up. Suyeon is still asleep beside her. Just then, she sees a girl in a black dress crawling behind the bed. Sumi gasps but is too stunned to speak. The girl suddenly stands and starts walking towards her. She climbs on her bed with no effort. She stands right above Sumi and laughs in a demonic voice. Then, Sumi notices blood dripping down the girl's leg. She screeches and Sumi wakes up realizing that it was just a dream. Muayeon hears the noise from downstairs and comes to check on Sumi. She doesn't allow him to come inside the room and he leaves. Just then, she removes the blanket and sees blood on the bedsheet. She realizes that Suyeon has gotten her period. Sumi then goes to Yunju's room to get her sister a sanitary pad. As she is about to leave, Yunju wakes up and laughs about the fact that she, too, has gotten her period that day. Sumi comes back with the pad, but Midway gets her period too. That day, Sumi and Suyeon sit together with Yunju's pet bird and whistle a melody. The sisters bond. As they talk, Muayeon comes there and asks Sumi if she is okay. He acknowledges that he is a bad father, but Sumi diverts the conversation and asks him to get rid of Suyeon's closet. Muayeon reminds her of her promise to never talk about that closet. All this time, Suyeon stays quiet, and Muayeon doesn't acknowledge her. Cue to a few hours later. Sumi goes to an abandoned house nearby that she used to go to when she was young. She brings home a box from there. Inside the box are her late mother's belongings and pictures of their family. Sumi looks at them lovingly, but her demeanor changes when she sees the picture of Yunju beside her parents. Just then, Sooyeon comes there and asks Sumi what she is doing. Sumi shows her the pictures of her mother. Excited, Sooyeon starts to claim all the pictures for herself. Just then, Sumi notices cuts and bruises on her sister's hands. She asks her if Yunju has done that. Sooyeon nods. Sumi then scolds her for not telling her. Furious, she goes to her stepmother. Yunju claims she did that to teach Sooyeon a lesson because of her bad manners. She brings up Sumi's late mother, which accelerates the fight. When Yunju tells Sumi she is still sick, Sumi loses her control and slides the teacups off the table. They yell at each other as Mueyeon listens from the other part of the house. He finally comes to the room and sees Sumi crying in a corner. Mueyeon lovingly tries to calm Sumi, but she yells at him too. He then tells her to be calm or else she will be sick again. Sumi has no idea what he is talking about. That night, the uncle and the aunt come for dinner. They do not look pleased to be there, but Yunju is over the top. She keeps on talking about their good old days when everyone else listens with no reaction whatsoever. The dinner table is completely silent when she stops talking. She asks the uncle rudely if he remembers all this. Suddenly, Yunju's whole demeanor changes, and she asks the uncle if he is crazy. Then the aunt starts to choke. Within no time, she falls and starts to vomit as well. The uncle and Mueyeon try to help her. After some time, she gets well by herself. On their way back home, the aunt tells her husband about seeing a ghost under the sink when she was on the floor. Back at home, Yunju hears weird noises from the sink and goes to check. She looks under it but finds nothing. Just then, a hair clip appears in front of her. As she tries to pick it up, someone grabs her hand from under the sink. Startled, she retreats and sees someone else standing behind her. Cue to a few minutes later, Yunju is now in her room with Mueyeon. He gives her medication. Yunju tells him that there is something strange in the house, but he dismisses it. Mueyeon then goes outside and sees the bloodied body of the bird. Someone has killed it. He goes to the woods to get rid of the bird. Yunju sees this through the window. Furious, she bangs at the doors of Sooyeon's room thinking that she was the one who killed it. She also finds the family picture with her face torn off. She finally gets into the room and yells at Sooyeon to get off the bed. She removes the blanket to see the dead body of the bird from earlier on her bed. Furious, she drags Sooyeon out of bed and locks her in the closet. Sooyeon yells for help from inside, but Yunju tells her that she cannot come out unless she says she is sorry. With no other way out, Sooyeon apologizes and Yunju opens the lock. She asks her to stop crying, but when she doesn't, she locks it again. Sooyeon repeatedly bangs on the doors from inside. This wakes Sumi up. She rushes to Sooyeon's room and opens the closet. The sisters hug. Sumi brings her downstairs just when Mueyeon returns. He angrily asks Sumi why she is doing this. Sumi then tells him that Yunju keeps on harassing Sooyeon. The father is shocked. He then reveals to Sumi that Sooyeon has been dead for a long time, but Sumi still sees her sister standing beside her. Sooyeon cries and Sumi tries to tell her that her father is lying. That night, Mueyeon calls someone and asks them to visit. The following morning, we see Yunju dragging a bloody sack through the house. She hits it with a stick continuously. Just then, Sumi wakes up. She goes out and notices the blood in the hallways. It leads her to the bloodied sack on the floor. She cries and tries to open the sack thinking that her sister is inside it. She goes to the kitchen looking for scissors, but when she comes back, the sack is gone. She follows the blood again and reaches Sooyeon's closet. The sack is inside it. She tries to open it again, but just then Yunju appears behind her with a boiling kettle of water. She tries to pour the water onto Sumi, and the two get into a fight. As Yunju grabs Sumi's legs, she falls and goes unconscious. Yunju drags Sumi's body outside. After some time, Sumi regains her consciousness but is still hallucinating. She sees herself dragging a porcelain doll. Yunju is now in front of Sumi, trying to drop the porcelain doll on her. But before she can, Mueyeon returns. He finds Sumi on the floor and the doll is in pieces beside her. She puts Sumi on a sofa and goes to get Yunju's medicine. He also notices a bloody doll in a sack inside the closet where Sumi saw Sooyeon earlier. He comes back to the room. Yunju sits on the sofa where he left Sumi. He asks her to stop it and take the medicines. Just then, someone arrives at the house. Yunju is still on the sofa when the camera pans towards the visitor and we see that it is Yunju herself. Then the camera pans back to Yunju. She has turned into Sumi. This is when it is revealed that only Sumi and her father came to the house a week ago. Sumi has a mental disorder called dissociative identity disorder. This whole time, Sumi has been playing the role of Yunju. At the same time, Suyeon is just a creation of her mind. She hallucinated talking to Suyeon as a result of not being able to accept her death. The events of the last few hours unfolded something like this. Sumi put a doll inside a sack and hit it repeatedly with a stick, thinking that she was Yunju and the doll was Suyeon. She then dragged a porcelain doll, thinking that it was her being dragged by Yunju. She was the one who killed the bird. We saw Sumi, Suyeon, and Yunju all get their period the same day. This is also because they are the same person. To avoid the fact that she is sick, when Mueyeon gave Sumi medicines, she turned into Yunju. Throughout the movie, Mueyeon never talked to Suyeon because she never existed. And when he was talking to Yunju, he was talking to his own daughter. Now that the real Yunju is back, all this comes rushing back to Sumi. Yunju is a nurse. She and Mueyeon take Sumi back to the hospital. Alone in her hospital bed, Sumi reminisces of her sister. In a flashback, we get to know that Sumi and Suyeon's mother was terminally ill before her death. Yunju was originally their mother's nurse who seduced Mueyeon while their mother was still alive. One day their mother could not take it anymore, so she hung herself in the closet. Suyeon found her mother dead and tried to revive her, during which the closet collapsed on top of her. It slowly crushed her to death. Sumi lost her dear sister and her mother that day, but Yunju had heard the closet fall and had seen Suyeon being crushed to death. However, when she went to tell someone, Sumi confronted her about trying to be her mother and engaged in a foul conversation. Furious at Sumi, Yunju lets her sister die. Then we see Yunju in their old house when she hears noises coming from Suyeon's closet. She goes there and realizes that Suyeon's ghost is in fact real. The ghost kills Yunju, taking its final revenge. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and comment on the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel to see more of these movie summaries.